Hello, and welcome back to the American Chapter podcast. We are so incredibly happy to have you back in our circle today. Before we dive into the deep stuff, how are you feeling, guys? Truly, take a second to just check in with yourself.
Yeah, for real. Life moves fast, so just settle in for a minute. Maya, how are you feeling today? You've got that pensive look on your face.
You caught me, Jacob. I'm feeling reflective, a little vulnerable actually, but in a good way. How about you? How are you holding up?
I'm not gonna lie, I've been a bit heavy-hearted the last couple of days. Just overthinking life and where I'm at. But sitting down here, hitting record, and knowing we're connecting with everyone from every corner of the world, that's my therapy. It helps me get out of my own head.
I hear that. And that's really the heart of why we do this. For all our B1 and B2 learners listening, and those of you pushing towards C1, this episode is for you. We're going to be using a real variety of vocabulary today. You'll hear some intermediate flow, but we're also dropping in some advanced gems, beautiful slang, and idioms that you won't find in a standard textbook.
And listen, if you hear a word or a phrase and you're like, wait, what was that? Don't sweat it. Seriously. Don't let one unknown word trip up your rhythm. Just keep listening for the emotion and the context. At the very end of the video, we're going to break it all down. We'll review the new words, explain exactly what they mean, and build some example sentences together.
Exactly. Because this podcast, it's not just a lesson. It's about life, just in English. We know you're busy. Maybe you're cooking dinner right now, or driving home in traffic, or working at your desk, or even just lounging on the sofa. Wherever you are, you're part of this. It's useful for everyone because it's about the human experience, and that's a language we all speak.
Right on. Today, we're talking about the big stuff. Love, relationships, and those tricky family boundaries. It's useful for everyone because, let's face it, expressing how you feel is the hardest thing to do, especially in a second language.
It really is. But before we get into the deep end, we have a small favor to ask. If you love these conversations, please subscribe, hit that like button, and share this with a friend. It helps us keep this channel alive and growing.
And stay with us until the very end. We want to hear from you in the comments. Tell us what you liked, what new words you caught, or even the emotions you felt while listening. We read every single one of them.
And don't forget, every episode has 2 parts at the end. First, we'll go over the new advanced vocabulary. Then we'll move into the shadowing practice. For those who don't know, shadowing is when you repeat after us, matching our speed and emotion to lock in that American rhythm. Since today is about the heart, the shadowing is going to be very meaningful.
So, Maya, let's talk about love. It's a word that gets thrown around a lot. But I've realized lately that I spent a long time thinking love was something someone else gives to you, like a gift you're waiting to receive.
I think a lot of people feel that way, Jacob. But the truth, and this is something that took me years to learn, is that love isn't just about how you feel for someone else. Love should start from loving yourself first. If you don't have that foundation, everything else is built on sand.
Man, that's a fact. I used to think self-love was just a cheesy phrase, but it's actually about knowing your worth, or as we say in the wild, knowing your price. If you don't respect yourself, you'll let people walk all over you. You'll accept crumbs when you deserve the whole meal.
Exactly. And it's not just about romance, it's about family too. We're taught that family love is unconditional, and it is, but that doesn't mean it's boundary-free. I love my family more than anything, but I've had to learn how to tell them no without feeling guilty. That was the hardest English I ever had to learn, the language of no.
For real. Especially with parents. They know exactly how to push your buttons. You want to be a social chameleon and make everyone happy, but sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say, I love you, but I can't let you talk to me that way. It's about protecting your peace.
It's so true. I remember having to tell a close friend that I couldn't be their emotional sponge anymore. I was taking on all their stress and it was drowning me. I had to say, I'm here for you, but I need to protect my own mental health. It felt mean at the time, but it actually saved our friendship.
That takes grit, Maya. It really does. Being vulnerable enough to speak your truth, that's where the real fluency is. It's not in the grammar, it's in the courage to be seen.
Exactly. But let me flip the script on you, Jacob. We talk about the one all the time. Everyone is searching for that perfect person. Do you think the one actually exists? Or are we just chasing a ghost that Hollywood created?
Ooh, that's a heavy hitter. Honestly, I think the one isn't someone you find. It's someone you build a life with. But nowadays, man, it feels like everyone is so disposable. You swipe left, you swipe right, and the moment there's a little bit of friction, people just bail. Why do you think we have such a low tolerance for each other lately? Like, why is it so hard to just stay?
I think it's the illusion of choice, right? We think there's always something better around the corner. But the real question is, are we even ready for the one if they showed up? If you haven't done the work on yourself, if you don't know your worth, you'll either push the one away or you'll try to change them into someone else. Don't you think people are more in love with the idea of love than the actual person?
Whoa, that hit home. It's like we want the highlight reel, but not the behind-the-scenes struggle. I see it in families, too. We expect our parents or siblings to just know how we feel without us ever saying a word. Then we get resentful when they don't meet our expectations. Do you think we've forgotten how to communicate, or are we just scared of being told no?
I think it's both. We're terrified of rejection, so we bottle things up until we explode. But here's a thought. What if love is actually just a series of uncomfortable conversations that you choose to have anyway? Like, what if the most romantic thing you can do is sit down and say, "Hey, when you said that, it really hurt."
Man, if I said that to my dad, he'd probably look at me like I had two heads. But you're right. That's the grit. It's the ability to hold space for someone else's messiness while holding on to your own peace. But let me ask you, since we're both single, do you ever feel like you're too much for people? Like your boundaries are too high?
Oh, all the time. But then I remember, if my boundaries are too much for someone, then they aren't my person. I'd rather be alone and grounded in my self-respect than in a relationship where I have to shrink myself to fit. My price is high because I've worked hard to build this life. Why should I discount it just to have a date on a Friday night?
Right on. Don't discount your soul. That should be on a t-shirt. It's like we're taught to be social chameleons to survive, but at the end of the day, you have to come home to yourself. If you don't like the person you are when you're alone, you're never going to be happy when you're with someone else.
Mic drop, Jacob. Seriously though, that's the takeaway. Love is a two-way street, but you're the one driving your own car. If you don't know where you're going, don't be surprised when you end up somewhere you don't want to be.
Whew, okay. Take a breath, guys. Shake it off. That was intense. I feel like I just went to therapy and a linguistics class at the same time. But seriously, did you notice the language we were using there? When we talk about things like love and boundaries, simple words just don't cut it. We were using some really specific colors to paint that picture. We weren't just talking, we were articulating. So, now that we've poured our hearts out, let's switch gears. It's time to break down the tools we use to build that conversation.
Exactly. And this is the moment where the magic happens, where you turn that passive listening into active mastery. I want you to go ahead and grab your active notebook. If you're new here, that's the dedicated place where you write down not just the word, but the feeling and the context of the word. If you don't write it down, it flies away. Today, we have a mix of 3 things for you. High-level vocabulary to sound more precise, idioms to sound more native, and phrases of emotion to help you express your inner world. Jacob, do you want to start us off with that word you used about modern dating? That one really stuck with me.
All right, let's open those notebooks. We're going to categorize these because your brain remembers things better when they have a home. Let's start with high-level vocabulary. These are the words that make you sound sophisticated and precise. I'll kick it off with that word I used about modern dating, disposable. Meaning, literally, this describes something you use once and throw away.
like a plastic fork. But when we use it for people or relationships, it means treating someone as if they don't matter or can be easily replaced. Why I use it, it paints such a sad but real picture of how fast people move on these days. Example, I deleted the dating app because it made me feel disposable.
Ugh, that is such a heavy word, but so necessary. Okay, my turn. I want to bring back the word I used to describe you at the very beginning, pensive. Meaning, this doesn't just mean thinking, it means you are thinking deeply, seriously, and maybe a little bit sadly. Why I like it, it's a beautiful, soft word. It sounds much more poetic than just saying thoughtful. Example, she sat by the window looking pensive as she watched the rain.
I love that. Pensive. I'm going to use that more often. Let's switch to idioms. These are the phrases that create a picture in your mind. Maya, you used a biblical one that I think is crucial. Built on sand.
Yes, built on sand. Meaning, if a house is on sand, it will collapse. We use this to say that a plan, a relationship, or an idea has a weak foundation and will likely fail. Why it works? It reminds you that you need a solid base, like self-love, before you build anything else. Example, their relationship fell apart quickly because it was built on sand.
That's a classic. Here's one I used: to flip the script. Meaning to suddenly reverse a situation or change the direction of a conversation. It comes from the movies, literally flipping the pages of a script. Context: Maya did this when she turned the question back on me. Example, I was interviewing him, but he flipped the script and started asking me questions.
Good one. And I have to add one more idiom because it's the title of our vibe today, a two-way street. Meaning a situation where both people must contribute equally. It's about mutuality. Example, communication is a two-way street. You can't just talk, you have to listen.
Category 3, slang and real talk.
All right, let's get a little grittier. Let's talk slang. This is how we actually speak in the wild. My favorite one from today, to bail. Meaning to leave a situation abruptly, to cancel plans, or to give up when things get hard. The vibe, it's casual, but it implies you're kind of escaping. Example, the party was boring, so we decided to bail early.
I use bail all the time. Okay, here is one that is a metaphor, but we use it like slang in relationships. The highlight reel. Meaning, in sports, this is the video of the best goals. In life, it refers to the fake, perfect version of life people post on social media. Why it matters? It reminds us not to compare our real, messy lives to someone's fake internet life. Example, don't be jealous of her life. You're only seeing the highlight reel.
Okay, this is my favorite category today, phrases of emotion. These are the tools you need to describe your inner world. I started the show with this one, heavy-hearted, meaning feeling a deep sense of sadness or burden. It's not a sharp pain, it's a heavy weight in your chest. Example, I felt heavy-hearted after reading the news this morning.
That is such a specific feeling. Here's mine, and it's a concept that changed my life. Emotional sponge, meaning a person who absorbs the emotions, stress, and energy of the people around them. If your friend is sad, you become sad. Context, we use this when talking about boundaries. Example, I have to stop being an emotional sponge for my family. It's exhausting me.
Man, I relate to that way too much. Okay, I've got one that is purely positive. It's the antidote to bad relationships, to hold space. Meaning, to be present for someone, listening to them and supporting them, without trying to fix their problem or judge them. Why I love it? It's the most generous thing you can do for a partner. Example, I don't need advice right now. Can you just hold space for me while I cry?
That is beautiful, Maya. And I'm going to end with the most powerful one. This is what we want you to stop doing. Shrink yourself. Meaning, to make yourself seem smaller, quieter, or less talented, so that you don't intimidate others or make them uncomfortable. The lesson? Never do this. Take up space. Be who you are. Example, she refused to shrink herself just to make her boyfriend feel more secure.
Wow, don't shrink yourself. That is going on a sticky note on my mirror. Guys, look at that list. Disposable, pensive, built on sand, highlight reel, emotional sponge, hold space. If you use these words, you aren't just speaking English, you are communicating on a soul level.
Exactly. And now that we understand the meaning, it's time to master the feeling. It's time to move the words from your notebook to your mouth.
Are you ready for the shadowing practice?
All right, fam, this is where the rubber meets the road. We've given you 10 powerful affirmations focused on self-love, boundaries, and family dynamics. Maya is going to lead. Listen to where she pauses. Listen to the strength in her voice, and then echo her. Don't just whisper, speak it like you mean it.
Take a deep breath. Let's train your voice to speak your truth. Here we go. I am not a ghost. I am a person who deserves to be seen and heard. I am not a ghost. I am a person who deserves to be seen and heard. Knowing my worth means I no longer accept crumbs in my relationships. Knowing my worth means I no longer accept crumbs in my relationships. I am my own biggest advocate, and I choose to love myself first. I am my own biggest advocate, and I choose to love myself first. My boundaries are not walls to keep people out, they are the gates to my peace. My boundaries are not walls to keep people out, they are the gates to my peace. I will not shrink myself or dim my light just to make someone else comfortable. I will not shrink myself or dim my light just to make someone else comfortable. Love is not a highlight reel, it is the grit and the grace of staying together. Love is not a highlight reel, it is the grit and the grace of staying together. I respect myself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves my soul. I respect myself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves my soul. I choose to have the hard conversations instead of bottling things up inside. I choose to have the hard conversations instead of bottling things up inside. I can love my family deeply while still saying no to protect my mental health. I can love my family deeply while still saying no to protect my mental health. Setting a boundary is an act of love for myself and for the relationship. Setting a boundary is an act of love for myself and for the relationship. Wow, I feel so incredibly centered after that. Thank you for doing this with us, guys, truly. It's not easy to be vulnerable and speak these truths out loud, especially in a second language, but you did it.
For real, if you felt that shift in your energy, if you feel a little more grounded or a little more empowered, please subscribe to our family. Hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs a reminder of their own worth today.
Before we go, we have a question of the day. What is one small way you showed yourself love today? Maybe you set a boundary, maybe you took a walk, or maybe you just said something kind to yourself in the mirror. Let us know in the comments. We want to celebrate those wins with you.
We really do. Every comment helps this community grow stronger. I'm Jacob, she's Maya, and this is American Chapter Podcast. We are so incredibly grateful for your presence and your heart.
Stay brave, stay kind to yourself, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.